Hey, welcome to the Latoya Carr Show. Where is my handbook? The name was inspired because life comes at such a fast pace and it does not come with a handbook. Therefore, this podcast will talk about the many different facets of everyday living, and that can include parenting, business, family, friendships, relationships, basically everything that you will sit at your kitchen table and talk about. I started the podcast on anchor.fm. For those of you that are listening who may be wanting to start your own podcast, go to anchor.fm to start your own podcast. It is free and very easy to navigate. Again, welcome to the Latoya Carr Show. Where is my handbook? Hello, Jeka.
Hey, Toya.
All right, guys. So, welcome to the Latoya Carr Show. Where is my handbook? Today's guest, I have Jeka McElveen, my best friend. And today we're going to talk about love after divorce. So, I really don't have too many questions. I have a couple of questions written down that I don't want to forget, but for the most part, this is just going to be a candid conversation about, love after divorce, life after divorce, and how that can impact the future. So, one of the questions that I will ask you, the first question I want to ask is, while going through your divorce, did you have people that you were dating or seeing, or did you wait until your divorce was final?
Woo! So, while during my divorce, I wasn't really seeing anyone. I had a friend, which is now my baby girl's father. Me and him talked we were just friends over the phone conversation. Never was intimate, anything like that until after the divorce. And the reason being is because I was still so heavily in love with my husband. And I just really never really wasn't over. Say
Okay.
that.
Okay. So, do you think that waiting helped you? Do you think that let's just ask this first. Do you think that waiting helped your relationship with your daughter's father? Or do you think that it hindered it? How do you think that waiting stage impacted y'all's relationship?
I think it did a little bit of both. Help it in ways that I was able to, express my feelings to someone because I didn't have anyone, and I shut everyone completely kind of out.
Mm-hmm.
That stage of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So it helped. He was honestly like a very great friend, and he was an outlet. We didn't talk anything about, my ex-husband, well, my soon-to-be ex-husband at that time. We didn't talk about situations like that. He just kind of kept my mind off of it. It hindered it only because I feel that I should have had a date life. I didn't have a date life, so I really kind of didn't know where I was at and, what I was really doing. I was still kind of lost in that moment with him. So I think it hindered it and it helped it in ways. It was like a give and take kind of thing.
Right. So with the outlet, when you say that he was an outlet, because so often we hear, you should wait until one door is closed before another door is open. So do you think that outlet really helped in terms of getting over your ex-husband? I know earlier you mentioned that you waited because you weren't over him, but at the same time, do you feel like that if it wasn't for that outlet, do you think that time would have it would have taken more time to get
Oh,
over that stage in your life.
most definitely. I think it would have been a much more slower process of healing just by the way the divorce went. I still was unclear and even to this day, I still am unclear of why the divorce had to have happened. Um,
Right.
um, it was definitely something that I did not want. I was in love, whatever, young and in love,
Mhm.
and just things that transpired during that time. It had to happen because it was the only way for me to let go. But I really do believe that that outlet was necessary
Mhm.
for me, because it did help the healing process. Well, the process of me getting over him. It did. He did help with that.
I think that's a good outlook because, like I said before, people are so quick to say, well, you got to wait until you're healed. You got to wait until one door is closed. But the reality of it is, how will you know where you are if you don't try? Like, how will you know where you are if you're not talking to other people? Which also brings to the point of, you talking about you kind of wish you had a date life. So do you think that if you had a date life, it would have prepared you for afterwards? Or why do you say you wish you had a date life during that period?
I say that only because I was young. When I got married, I was 19. Um, I was in the military, young. I was a young mother, young wife. It was a learning process with me. It was just like it was him, got married. Okay, my life was going on. His life was going on with his other, and his other children, and mine was still stuck at a standpoint because I'm like, he's still my husband. I kind of felt obligated to still um, be loyal to him because of my wedding vows. Something I've
Mm-hmm.
always taken so very personable, and which everyone should.
Right.
But because of how I stood religiously, um, do my wedding vows, I kept to those, and I really wanted to stick to those. I even had a little inkling that we would possibly get back together. Um,
Right.
but as far as dating life, I didn't have a dating life. It's like I went from him and where we were married, and then I started talking to my baby girl's father, which me and him was just friends. But shortly after me and my ex-husband got our divorce, then I was back into another relationship. And so with that relationship, it kind of, I had ups and downs because it's like, all right, I went from this man to this man. He's totally different, and yes, he is a great guy, but I never had where it was like, oh, let me see, how is this person fitting for me? Is this person, fitting for me? Is this the right person that I'm fit? It was just like kind of, well, we've been friends for so long. Um, let's just do this, whatever. I don't want to be with no one else.
So
Um,
that's an interesting concept. So are you saying that even though you are grateful for, him during that time, are you saying that you settled, or you really didn't give yourself a chance to see what you would actually like? It kind of was like, well, he's here, let's go ahead and see what we can do together.
right, right. It wasn't that I was settling. It was just that he was here. Let's see what we can do together. But I really wished I would have had a dating life, and it's not because of my ex-husband. It's because of the new relationship that I was in and been in for so long. Whatever, I kind of felt, you know, binded by. Sometimes you kind of feel like you owe this person um, these years because he's been there through at your weakest moments.
All
Um,
right. So
and
you felt obligated.
I felt obligated, pretty much. Even though I absolutely I fell in love with him, loved him for years. But I never knew how much I missed um, of even knowing myself because I was so young. You know, honestly, I really think that I should have waited and dated myself in order to date other people, because it's nothing like knowing yourself. And I didn't realize that I was still kind of holding a lot of my past with me, and it was lingering on with me for years. I mean, 10 plus years, 15 plus years. Like, I never knew how much it meant doing that, because I was just so tied into, I always was in a relationship. I had no break. I had no break for myself or for anyone else.
So what does when you say get to know your, like, what does that look like? I think that maybe we all have a different approach, or maybe a different idea of what that may look like. What did that look like for you? Um what did you see, or what can you see now that it should have been then, getting to know yourself?
Okay, so prime example, I came from being a wife. So I don't know how to switch off to be a girlfriend. So everything that I did as a wife, I took that into my next relationship. I was that wife. I did things that were, wifely duties. There, the saying when older folks, and I truly know the meaning what older says, don't be shacking up. And I didn't get it, but now I get it, now that I'm no longer shacking up, and now that I'm dating again. Because when I shacked up, I tend to see that I'm the wife. I didn't know how to switch off. I didn't know how to not iron clothes, not be sexually pleased. I did not know not to clean the house. Even though that's things you're supposed to be doing, but you shouldn't feel obligated to do it for that person.
Right.
Because that's that person, job. They need to have their own to do them things on their own. When we come together, then we just make it better. And so, I was stressed out with my next relationship about a lot of things, whatever. Am I good enough? Whatever, and I would question myself about that. Like, oh, am I doing enough? I don't want to lose him. I love him and all that stuff. And just minor things that I question about myself. So when you start questioning yourself, you have to take a look at yourself. Like, what are you doing? Like, why don't you love yourself enough to know that you're good enough for this person? And so if we were going through our separation, when me and my ex broke up in 2015, that was kind of like it's like I didn't know how to manage. And I remember I left in July of 2015, and in September of 2015, I called back because we were in different states, and I wanted to come. I was like, I wanted to come back home. I was like, we got to figure this out. We have to figure this out. But that was because I was acting out of not even being by myself ever. Since I was 19, I was with someone. So at the age of 2015, I was how old? That was 5 years ago. Okay, 35. From 19 to 35, I was with someone. I was never by myself. So it was like, dog, how can I cope? What can I do? Single mother, I'm a single mother for, I've been with somebody all this time. What in the world am I going to do? That's how I felt. Not having someone to come home to, or talk to, cry to, release my emotions, I didn't have that. And then when I cried for, I'm gonna tell you, about 6-7 months straight, like at night, because I was just that hurt, and trying to get over my emotions. So one day I was just like, you got to get up from here. Um, start doing stuff to enjoy yourself. And I remember a guy tried to date me, and he asked me, what do I like to do? And I said, I don't know. And that was the most hurtful response to me, because I didn't realize until that point that I've given everything of myself to my family, my kids, and whoever I was with, my ex-husband and my new relationship, that I no longer knew what I wanted, or what I dreamed of, or what I desired, or what I even liked to do. And so I said at that time I was not ready to date, and I had to find myself. I had to get to know Jeka again. And so, I started doing little things like going to karaoke on Wednesday night. I remember you saying you were so happy to see me out, because I was never an out person, trying to do things and stuff. And that's how I start opening up to people and different situations, and just trying to date again, and love again. But I had to learn how to love myself first.
Right. So with that being said, getting to love yourself again and all of this. So I've never been married. Um, that is a desire, but what I would ask is, how was it with having so kids um with your marriage, and then once you got with your youngest daughter's dad, how was that adjustment? Because like I said, I've never been married, but I do feel like, when you go into a relationship, a new relationship, and you have kids from a prior relationship, there's a couple of different things how that can work out. And so I know what my thoughts are. I know what my desires are. Like, you would have to love Jaden as your own and all of that. But then I also know that it would be kind of hard, allowing somebody to come in and discipline and do all of that stuff. So how was that aspect?
Okay, so my kids were very young. I think Javion was like, my oldest was like 5. He's about to be 19 now. So he was like 5 years old. Janae was about 3. Jaden was actually 1. Well, Jaden was not even born yet, and Jaden about to be 14. When I met Gabrielle's father, I was pregnant with Jaden. Which I was like 3 weeks pregnant. Just found out I was pregnant. But when we actually decided to be a couple, and for him to come into the home, which was in 2008, he was, he knew, he didn't have any kids at that time. Of course, Gabrielle wasn't here or anything, but he didn't have any kids, and which I thought it was kind of weird, because he, it was like, this is new for you. You have never been with someone with kids. You have never been in a home with anyone's kids. So it was kind of scary. It was a scary feeling, because they were young. But when you see how someone operates, and everyone knows I'm kind of a little overprotective, overbearing for my kids, but the kids took to him. So it's more so of the relationship that the children will have to that person, to make them, that person may not be the right one, but then again, kids also are protective of their parents too, especially their mothers. They don't want to see their mother hurt.
Right.
Even at this time, like with me dating now, like my kids are really skeptical about a lot of things now that they're older, and they know. But I asked them a question maybe about a month or 2 ago. I said, how would you guys feel if I would go back to your fathers? Now, I asked that for each of my kids, And every last one of them, except Gabrielle, because Gabrielle's still young and she just loves her mom and she loves her daddy. I mean, she loves both of us, but and the other kids do as well. But all of my kids kind of told me that, Mom, you need to move on from them both. It was actually a question. I wasn't saying it as far as, that was going to happen. I was just asking them because I wanted to know how they feel about me moving on, and to see if it would have been a problem that I was not with their fathers. And they're like, no, do not go back to my daddy. Do not go back to, Gabrielle's daddy. Go on about your business and, enjoy life. And they was like, Mom, as long as you're happy. And honestly, that's how it goes. It really is. Kids can't really pick who you date, or who you decide to be with, because I always say one thing about it: these kids have to grow up and they're going to go on about their life. But you want to make sure your kid is somewhat pleased with your decision, because they're still your child.
Right.
But it was a transition. It wasn't bad though, because he was gentle, he's humble, he loved kids, and he loves my kids even to this day. He loves my kids.
Do you think that because you were so used to being in a relationship, and you didn't want to, see another relationship fail or go down the drain, do you think that may have could cause people to stay in a relationship longer? What do you think? Do you think that you took, and also with that, do you think that you took baggage from your marriage into that relationship?
I did. I won't. Anything that is of any negative content is baggage. I don't think I fully healed from my marriage in order to go into another relationship, to be right back into a relationship. Yeah,
so are you saying? So are you saying, when you say right back into a relationship, so do you believe that you have to give it time, or because I've seen people get out of something and go into something else and it lasts, and then, just the opposite. So are you saying that you should wait it out?
I'm saying that I should have probably. I should have. I can't really talk because, I would never put a time on love. I would never put a time on marriage, because you just know when someone just knows that for a fact, especially when you've gotten it wrong so many other times, or this just not right, you can feel some kind of inkling. No, you should never be emotionally stressed out. You should never be mentally stressed out in a relationship. That is not healthy. You should always, if at any point, now sometimes it might, you get into arguments. You do have disagreements. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it should not take you forever, or the next person forever be like, yeah, this is the one. This is the one. Whatever. That person should speak to every level on you, of you, socially, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. They should be able to speak to your soul and your life. Is just like, where was I? What happened?
Right.
So do I think I think I should have waited. I'm not saying no one else, because it's different strokes for different folks. Now, if someone would have came along and then like, oh no, this is my wife. This is who I'm supposed to be with, and it didn't take so long, years and years years and years to know this is the person that you're supposed to be with, after living with somebody, after shedding tears, I mean, doing everything together, and it take you 15 years to figure out if you want to be with that person? No, bro. That's not how it works. No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. And I mean, I just think time does play a part, but I think if the right person would have came and spoke to my soul, then I would be married by now. And happy. Oh, I'm happy, but I would have been married right now.
So before we get into the part about you being happy right now, have you ever stopped loving, or should I say, have you ever gave up on the thought of love? So when you think about your divorce and your ex, have you ever, after those two people, like, thought about, this love stuff is for the birds?
Have I ever thought about that?
Yeah. Have you ever thought about not loving? Have you, because we hear it all the time. People give up on love. Or have you always been a hopeless romantic?
I've always, in my entire life, been a hopeless romantic. Honestly, I love hard. Sometimes at fault. Okay. But I've never given up on love. Never. And I think I have never given up on love because I love too hard, and I know I love genuinely.
Right.
So I always knew that, in the back of my mind, this might not be the right person, but the right one is going to find me, and we're gonna do this thing.
Okay.
I just always felt like that. I've never given up on it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I have been. I've had my moments where I'm like, you say stuff like I'm over it, but I've really honestly never been the type to say like I don't believe in love. And so I always thought that, or I always think when I hear people say that, I'm like, man, that's kind of sad, because I just feel like in the midst of everything that we go through or what we've been through, I still believe that there are good people out here.
Right.
And it may take them, it may take some people longer, some people mature. It takes them a little bit longer to mature, but I do feel like, there's always room for love. So, you mentioned that you are happy now. So what does that mean? What does happiness look like for you?
My happiness. So, well, I'm happy where I'm at, as far as business-wise in my life, where I'm headed to in my life. And I do have this little love thing going on right now.
Oh, a love thing. What is a little love thing?
So, my mister, he is, I don't know where he came from. It seems like he just dropped off the face. He just dropped right here, whatever, and boom, here it is. But he has been, how can I put it? He has spoke to my soul. He has. I don't have to talk to him 24/7. It's the small things. Everyone knows that I love music. I love, singing, and I love all of that. But I remember meeting him, and when I met him, I kind of like brushed him off. Let me pass by him. I am not gonna talk to him and stuff, whatever. I'm like, no, I'm not. And I was like, something just told me, no, go back, because I met him on an app, a dating app.
Okay.
And when I went back to him, and he was very gentle, like So what took you so long? Like, really, what took you so long to respond? And I was like, oh, I don't know, brushing them off, kind of. And he just asked me, like, why are you like this? So, I basically, telling my life story. We date, talk, and it was just like talking to him was easy. I didn't feel pressure with anything. He sends me just different things to speak to me, and to know that, let me know that he's interested. He watches me, you know. I go live a lot for my business. He tells me, all the things that you wouldn't think that someone noticed about you. And, and it's just like very comforting. We got our first little disagreement today, and I'm just like, I can't even be mad at him. Like, I just can't be mad at him. It's really nice. He's a breath of fresh air for me. He makes me smile. The thought of him, I'm talking to him now. I'm cheesing like a Chester cat.
Right, because I'm like, I'm listening to you talk, and I'm like, why is she cheesing though?
And I don't know what he does to me, but he does that to me, and I'm happy about it. I go to bed every night. I've been having a lot of health issues. No, I haven't told you, Toya, but I've been having a lot of health issues lately, and for him to just be so straightforward, like, listen, you need to do right. Like, don't play with it. Let's do this. He got like a plan for me. And I'm like, mind your business. But, he'd be like that, and he'd be like, all right. He just, whatever. Okay, Jeka, whatever you want to do. And it's just the small things. He's very consistent. I've never been with someone as consistent as him in my life. And when I get inconsistent, because I became inconsistent at one point or whatever, and he's like, what's wrong with you? And it's like he instantly knows when something's wrong with me. When he's on my mind, he usually calls. When I'm on his mind, I usually call. I don't know. It's different. I'm enjoying the moments. We're taking it slow. No, there has not been any sexual relationship going on. I asked him, I was like, how would you feel if I wanted to wait till I'm married? And he was like, that's good. We can do that. And I'm like, whoa. Okay. I'm kind of scared at that point, because I'm like, okay. And he calls me his wife. He was like, I truly believe God. He's like, I don't know what I ever did to deserve this, but I thank God for you. And we pray together.
Okay.
He just touches me on all levels.
Nice. So, you mentioned a couple of things that, I do like, because of course, as a best friend, you already know I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for? Protective.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and start with the first one, that we can table this for later, because I ain't gonna get on you too bad about this health issue stuff. But I do feel comfort in knowing that although we haven't discussed health issues, I feel comfort in knowing that you actually have somebody in your life that you're comfortable with other than me, in terms of like your safe space. So for me, that's actually a good thing. I mean, I could feel some type of way right now in my selfish ways, but again, we'll table that. And I do like that. And some other things that you mentioned was breath of fresh air. Like, that's big. Comforting, consistent. Y'all pray together. And the abstinent part, I had a question about that. Like you mentioned that being, you were scared or whatever. So a lot of times, like we talked about baggage. So are you scared because he agreed and is like, okay, God, like I wasn't expecting him to agree? Are you scared because, in the past people have cheated, and you don't know whether to believe him? Like, what scares you?
A little bit of both. Not that I don't believe him. I think from my past, because I just don't. I think I don't want to feel like that's the only reason why you're here. If I would give it up to him, and he actually acknowledged that. He was like, he asked me those same questions, and I was like, dude, I just don't want you to feel like it, And
Wait, he
I don't
asked
want to
you
feel
what
like
question?
that. He asked me, was I scared that?
Oh, the questions I asked.
Right. And I was like, well, a little, only because he was like, I ain't going nowhere, but he was like, but I respect that, and we can however you want to. We don't ever have to be intimate until we get married. And he talks like that to me, and that scares me, because I'm like, married? Like,
I was
it's
about
something
to
I've been
say
wanting. I always desire to be married again. And I've never given up on love. But I was like, why are you talking like that right now? What's wrong with this man?
I got nervous when you said ever. I'm like, hold up now, bro. Ever? Oh, okay. You just mean ever till you get married.
Yeah.
Got you.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'm like, something wrong with you. But we can talk. We do talk. We have talking about sexual things and stuff, whatever. But it hasn't gone there yet. Like, to do anything, and we're okay with that. We just enjoying each other, and really, it's refreshing for me. It's refreshing.
So, do you think with you guys waiting? So I've heard, when people wait, when they make the conscious decision to wait, they find themselves getting closer, like you get to know each other better. What exactly is the waiting period been like for you? Like, do you think that y'all relationship would be different if you had already had sex? Or like, what's your thoughts on the waiting period?
I think the waiting period now is just more so he is planting the seed. You know how when you're growing something, you plant a seed, you water it, you make sure it has enough sunlight and for it to grow. So I think the seed has already been planted. What he's doing now is watering it, and it's growing. It's growing in different aspects. So my emotional is being, is being taken care of. Our social part is being taken care of. Our physical, as far as being there, seeing each other, going through all that, that's growing. When sex comes to play, I truly believe that everything that we have already built or have already grown is just going to be stronger. And I think sex is just going to top it off, because now I'm already mentally there. And I
Right.
think people have already heard the saying, whatever. And I always say it, you have to stimulate the mind first, in order to get down there, for anything to happen down there or whatever, and to be worthwhile. Someone asked me the other day, well, are you scared that he's not going to be good? I'm like, good?
Dang.
No, I'm not scared of that. Honestly, the way he has already planted the seed in my head, and how we've already been talking and things been transpiring, I believe that's going to be great. It's just going to put the icing on the cake.
Yeah, it's just
when it
gonna
does happen.
enhance it.
It's just going to enhance everything that I have, whatever. And then that's when, when all of those come together, whatever, there's nothing that can kind of probably break that apart. And if it, but we have to have a strong foundation, and that's with any relationship.
Right.
So
let's go back right quick, because you talked about you said, how did you say it? Before anything happens, you have to
get that mind right.
So, not to turn this show into a sexual show, but I need to know for myself. So, are you saying that in order for you to enjoy it, your mind has to be right? Or are you just saying
you can enjoy sex? You can enjoy sex randomly with anyone, anybody. First of all, a female is a female, male is a male. Come together,
absolutely,
whatever. You can be pleased.
Right.
But when I say, will you be satisfied?
Okay, take us to church.
It's a satisfaction that comes behind it when you've already connected with that person. You already connected with that person mentally, emotionally. Y'all doing this, y'all doing that, whatever. So when the sex comes, it's like, it's whatever. That's baby right there. That's
whole nother level.
That's a whole nother level right there, because you start doing, different stuff, that you may not do with this person that you really ain't feeling like that. Y'all that's random. That's just random. It's no longer random. This seals the deal right here.
Right.
That's how I feel. This seals the deal. You mine and I'm yours, and that's it.
Okay.
So
I was just making sure. All right. So, what was it like? So you mentioned that he has been calling you his wife. What does that do for you, for a person that you've been married? You said that you want to get married again. How does that make you feel?
It's a feeling. Let me try to explain this the best way. When someone calls you their girlfriend or their little friend, we use that friend word a lot.
Right.
Friend, significant other, but call you the wife. So let me tell you about the Bible now. So the Bible always says is Christ, and then there's the husband. The husband is a man, is the man after God's own heart, right? So he's supposed to be the head of the family, and then he's covering the wife, correct? Well, that right there, I've grown up with my grandparents. I saw my grandparents, my grandmother and my grandfather. They were married for years.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to just, I see that I desire to be someone's wife, and because that's like the ultimate for me in a relationship. Somebody that's it. You're somebody's wife. So for him to already say that means he's not looking no more. That's that, and we talked about that. That means, when you call me that does mean that this is it. You do know that, right? Because we have to be on the same page.
Right. Absolutely.
This is it. So the fact that this is it, that makes me feel like, dang, for him to acknowledge me. What is it about me? But what is it not about me that I can be someone's wife again? So I mean, it's just different. And for him to say it so profoundly, that's it. Every little thing about me, my weight and all that stuff. That man do not care, honey. Do not care. And he was like, he told me to send him a picture one day or something happened, and I sent him a photo, and I was like, I don't like this photo. He was like, it's not for you to like. You don't have to like it. I like it. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, that's what I said. Oh, okay. But it just make me feel good, the things that I don't like about myself, he loves, absolutely loves.
So at this stage in your life, when you look back to Jay South, do you think that could you have seen yourself in this situation right now?
No. And the reason why I say no, is because everything that we go through is it prepares you for the next. So I thank God for Jay, and I thank God for South. Love them both. Still to this day, got nothing but love for them. May not like them that much some days, but I love them still. And they taught me a lot. It wasn't until the other day that, me and South had a conversation. He called me, FaceTime. And, me and him was best friends. Like, he was one of my best friends. That
clear that up.
Yeah, one of my best friends. So go ahead, clear that up. But he told me, he's just like, actually he has a significant other, a girlfriend, and we had a conversation yesterday. Basically it was more so of like where we're at, like what's going on. For the first time ever that I actually was able to say these words to him, about feelings of me and him not being together.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a lot of me because he received the most years of my life, so far. Even after the marriage, he received the most years of my life. Me and him have been friends since 2005. September 27, 2005 is when we met each other.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't become a couple or anything till 2008. And I lived with him from 2008 to 2015. But from 2005 to 2015, this was the man that I was with. And through that was a lot of friendship years, knowing each other. Like, I know this man, even to this day, I know him like the back of my hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's some secrets that we both will carry to the grave with us. As far as I hope. I hope,
right.
If it comes out, oh well, whatever. But it's some things that happen in our relationship, and all to make me not, I've never really truly spoken my true feelings about us not being together to him.
Okay.
Gabby deserves for both of her parents to be together. Well, both of her parents to be happy, even if we're not together. She needs to see that. I truly believe children need to see healthy relationships. If me and him aren't together, it's not going to be a healthy relationship. And I know that it's not going to be, because it's just some things that I forgive, but I don't forget anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And even things after the relationship, like I will never be able to, I won't ever look at him the same. I never look at him the same now. All we are or can be is co-parents, and let's have a healthy relationship for her for that reason. felt proud of myself yesterday. And I was like, dog, you said that? Because I'm shocked.
So are you saying you felt proud of yourself because you didn't realize that you were over him, or you didn't realize that where you truly were in terms of y'all's relationship?
Both. I didn't realize that I was truly over. I knew I was over him, but not as much to say actually how to speak actually how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
To him, whatever, because of how he would feel about it. But yesterday, at that point, I really knew at that point that I didn't care how he felt anymore about our relationship, because there is none. It's non-existent.
That's growth.
Besides, and that's growth. And I was really proud of myself because I know where I was at.
Right, absolutely.
So
we have discussed a lot about, baby girl's father. How is your relationship with your ex-husband?
Ciao. Okay, so me and Jeremiah, we've all it's so interesting because sometimes, like now, I think I talked to Jeremiah. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know how to explain it, because sometimes when I talk to him, let's say this, when he's existent in our lives, when I say our, I'm talking about me and his children. It's okay, it. Like a long lost friend. It's never been something steady or something consistent. So I can pretty much say our relationship between me and him is it's non-existent. It's that. I don't know how to explain that. He's in and out. Last time I talked to him was the beginning of February. I called him, or he texted or something. He was like, he's straight, and that was about it. And I may hear from him in June or July or August or maybe next
year. So that's
real.
That's really interesting, because you said that you still have a love for him. How does that work in terms of him being so inconsistent? How do you find it in your heart to still have a relationship with him?
I think with him, the love is not. I think the love is more for my kid, for him giving me my kids. I really do think that is where the love comes in from. I do care about him, his well-being, of course. But that's me. I don't want anything to happen to anyone. I want everyone to be prosperous and grow.
So, I always applaud you in that regards in terms of Jay, your ex-husband, because I always, my heart ain't the same. And so I always think that it's such a good thing I think that both of us, of course, we always put our kids first, but it's a different kind of thing when you can not only choose the kids, but just choose humanity and disregard everything else that has happened. It really shows growth as well as maturity, because love is a thing that can make you do crazy things. And so with going through what you went through in your situations with your ex-husband and Gabby's father, baby girl's father, amazing to still see you willing to even have relationships with them. So I really just wanted to get that aspect out in terms of not only love after divorce, but also, keeping somewhat of a relationship with, the people who help bring your children here, regardless of the circumstances. Um, so this was really good. Is there anything that you would like to tell somebody who may have gone through a divorce or going through a divorce that may need some uplifting when it comes to love?
Continue to love yourself, and the more you love yourself, someone else is going to come love you and love you even more. They're going to put some stank on it.
That last part was really good. Because as you love yourself, I do believe that you leave room for somebody else to love you. And yeah, I'm still working on that with myself, but that's another podcast episode. But I just want to say thank you for coming on. Thank you for being vulnerable, sharing your vulnerabilities with the people. And you guys stay tuned for more of the Latoya Carr Show, Where's My Handbook, because this will not be the last podcast episode concerning relationships. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Once again, for anyone out there that may be willing to start a podcast, you can go to anchor.fm, start your podcast for free. You can record from your phone. You can record from your computer. Just say yes. Go ahead and start that podcast today. Jeka, thank you again, and we will talk soon.
Thank you.